Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree. Last week we went along to a very special event being hosted here on the Isle of Man.
Yes, the Isle of Man branch of the Farming and Wildlife Advisory Group held the Silver Lapwing Awards, which are awarded to farms for conservation and commercial farming combined. We went along to the Cool Brothers farm at Ballagawne to speak to some of the finalists. Well, so much to talk about, Kirree, and the marvellous, event that the Isle of Man branch of FWAG, the Farming and Wildlife Advisory Group, had put on to Paul Fletcher and Hilary and all the team involved in it to obviously have all the finalists of the 2025 Silver Lapwing Awards in the UK visiting Rob and David Cool's farm at Ballagawne, along with all the finalists and the people involved in it, to announce the winners this year in such a glorious setting with 120 odd people there as well.
It was a great event. It really did showcase the Isle of Man in all of its glory. A beautiful sunny day. The great and the good were there to celebrate the winners. The finalists really enjoyed a lovely few days spent on the Isle of Man. What a great event it is, recognising the commercial farming and nature working hand in hand. Yeah,
lots of biodiversity, as we'll hear about during the programme. We speak to all of the finalists, except, sadly, the winner, who couldn't make it to the Isle of Man due to a pretty important prior engagement. And the winner of the Silver Lapwing Award for 2025 was Andrew Bott from the Finches Farm in Hertfordshire, who grown all sorts of things. 14 years, made improvements to organic matter and growing crops and the cricket bats was in particularly interesting, growing trees and willow trees for the production in the future of cricket bats as well.
Great British cricket bats.
Indeed. We'll be hearing all of that and hearing from all the finalists here on the programme today, because all had various different important ways that they've changed their farm and farming techniques to embellish the countryside along with commercial farming. We started off chatting to Nicholas Watch, who's got an MBE, and he's from Lincolnshire. Welcome to the Isle of Man, firstly. Great to be nominated for the Silver Lapwing Award. Not won it this time, but a twice winner before. Is that right?
That's right, yes, yes.
And what years were they?
2001 and 2012.
Right, so a bit apart.
Yeah, well, you can't enter another. If you've won it, you have to stay out for 10 years.
Oh, right. Okay. But what made you get involved in it to start with, the change or the diversity from it?
Well, I'm a farmer, of course, yeah. And my interest is also wildlife. And I just consider myself lucky that I am a farmer who is interested in wildlife, and so I can perhaps do something about it. Because most people, they might be interested in wildlife, but they can't really do much to bring wildlife back.
Right. So, what was it the first time you won it? I mean, were you one of the sort of very few around your area that sort of went, we can do a bit of both here?
Well, yes, there's very few people in the Fens who are interested in doing things for wildlife, unfortunately.
But you've got different crops on your land and everything like that, and your association with birds, as you say. I mean, what sort of species you got? Numerous.
Well, we've got about 60 species that nest on the farm.
60?
60, yeah. Everything from water birds to land birds to field-wide birds. We've created a lot of habitat, so we've got different habitats, so we've got different birds.
It was great to see on the slides there today as well, the little towers which you're encouraging the barn owls.
Yeah, we've got 7 brick barn owl towers are scattered around the farm. Yeah.
And do you get a lot of ornithologists and general public around?
Yes, we do. I've got to get back for Saturday because I've got 2 farm walks on the farm. People coming to look round the farm, and these farm walks have been advertised 4 or 5 months ago, and so that I've got to get back for them. Yeah.
And how difficult was the transition from, many years ago, obviously it was a fully just farm, that was it, to integrate it with it? Has it had to do a lot of different changes?
No, it's just gradually, I do a lot of bird surveys, that's walking around, recording where the birds are, and of course where they're not, and through that I've found out what habitat is best, and I've gradually included all these good bits of habitat on the farm, simply because of my bird surveys have shown that where the different habitat is, that's different bird life is. So I've gone and created that habitat on my farm.
Yeah, so you've been able to sort of bring the birds back that have been missing?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And the cuckoo was mentioned as well, and it's a sort of sound that we don't hear too much in the Isle of Man in this day and age.
Yeah, well, I've created the habitat, and I can now see and hear the cuckoo every day in May and June.
Well, we're jealous now. Well, many congratulations. It's fascinating talking to you today, and I'm sure you'll get the chance again for maybe another Silver Lapwing Award in the future.
Maybe. I don't know.
But it's great to be nominated.
Thank you. It is, yeah. A real honour, yeah.
Well, Joe and Rachel, congratulations and welcome to the Isle of Man. I believe this is your first time here, Rachel.
It is the first time. It has been on the list of places to go, and it's great to have the opportunity to get here and finally look at the island, and it's been an amazing welcome so far.
And it must have been great to have the judges round at your farm in North Somerset. It probably very different to the Isle of Man. Was it a nerve-wracking experience?
It was quite an intense 2 hours, so 3 judges turned up, and we did a tour right from what we call the top of the farm, which is still below sea level, right down to through the different habitats to go end up at the farm buildings.
And like you say, below sea level, now that must be quite a difficult piece of land to manage generally.
It's all so it's very flat, so we're very unfit farmers, so we haven't got any hills to walk up and down, and we haven't got many views like we have today, looking out over the sea there. So it does take different management. It's a family farm, so I grew up there, so we're starting to learn about it sort of 30 years on, but there's still always new things to learn.
That is it, absolutely incredible. And how have you embraced the agri-environmental part of FWAG? How have you embraced that on your farm?
So it's been quite a slow journey. I wouldn't say, I don't think any environmental sort of improvements or focus is a quick gain. It's always a slow journey. And since 6 years ago, when we sold our dairy herd and moved to organic beef from organic milk, we just had a little bit more time in the day and the week to think about other things. And I think the switch has meant that we've had more time to enjoy the farm as it is and look at it as a whole, rather than just having to focus on the dairy cows themselves.
And that's interesting hearing Chris, the chairman of the FWAG Association, saying that you've actually bought back some of your Jersey cows that you actually originally sold.
Yes, we had to come clean on that. So after 4 years of having to buy milk in and not having those lovely jerseys to make a fuss of, we actually contacted the owners of the new owners of the herd, and what turned into be a plan to get 1 house cow ended up with 7 back.
But I do hear not only you're getting lovely fresh organic milk, but they're very helpful for your open farm Sundays and educational visits that you've also taken on board.
Yeah, so we do about 12 to 15 visits a year as part of Countryside Stewardship educational access options, and we missed having quiet cows to be able to really get hands-on with the children in terms of explaining where milk comes from. So we do actually bring that into our lessons, is that we do the difference between a beef cow and a dairy cow, because there is quite a difference.
And also, Rachel, it was really nice to hear with beef, it sometimes gets a bit of bad press. You're obviously doing organic beef, but you're also monitoring the dead weight gains and all of the carbon side, which is quite new to agriculture, really.
So the last couple of years we've been part of a group of 350 farmers covering England, Scotland and Northern Ireland, to look at measuring our carbon footprint. So everything is measured from fuel use, water use, how many trees we've got on the farm, how many hedges, and then and most importantly the weights and ages of the cattle when they leave the farm to go to the processor.
See, that's something that sometimes can be quite daunting to some farmers, but this is clearly embracing nature and running it alongside commercial farming.
So as dairy farmers, we've always did a lot of measuring, and one of my key roles is recording everything. We're both very keen on attention to detail. So to be able to have to measure more things and do more spreadsheets was just great. So as well as sort of bi-monthly, so every 2 months we weigh everything. We monitor all the live weight gains, and then record when they leave the farm, what age they're leaving the farm at, what weights they're meeting, and also how many days they've been on the farm. And we're doing all this from grass and forage, so we're not feeding after about 6 months of age. None of these cattle get any concentrates or bought-in feeds. It's all grown on the farm through making good quality silage, hopefully quite early in May, and some hay, and obviously trying to get our grazing system really correct in terms of making the best use of the grass. Yeah, because the cows do it. Cows do it for nothing. We haven't got to. Yeah, they eat grass, and that's what they do in the summer.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. Well, congratulations to the both of you. You've obviously embraced all of the new environmental schemes that are coming afoot. And good luck and well done for the final position you've been in today.
Thank you very much.
Well, John Billington, many congratulations. One of the finalists in the 2025 Silver Lapwing Award. Didn't quite get the victory, but it's fantastic to be in the final.
Oh, it's absolutely marvellous, and it's amazing how everybody's does different things, and we're all looking after the countryside. We're all trying to make a living out in the countryside, but we're also all looking after it. And the standard of the competition this year was amazing, and many congratulations to the winner, Andrew. I think it was Andrew that won it.
Yeah, but I mean, what made you? What sort of drove you towards that side of it, where you can do commercial farming and integrate the wildlife side of it, which of course the Silver Lapwing Award is about?
I've always been interested in farming. I always wanted to farm, and I planted my first tree when I was 12 or 13, and I came back into farming when I was 18 on my father's farm, and I'm a sort of a 10th generation farmer.
Really?
And it's something that's always interested me. Hedgerows, looking after wildlife, and of course as we've become more efficient with farming, we've probably reduced the number of the birds and the bees on the farm. So we wanted to put something back into the countryside, and so it started from there. We started in stewardship back in 1994, and we've carried on through to the present day.
Is Shropshire, what's it like on the farming side of things? Has it moved away from that quite a bit into not as many larger farms, or has it mainly kept its agricultural sort of presence?
And we're farming 3 farms compared with when my father started farming back in the 1950s. So there's a lot less of us.
Right.
But I think, I just love what I do. And we're in a lovely part of the world. But wow, we're standing here looking down over, is it the Irish Sea here, I think?
Yeah.
What a view you've got here. And I'm sure what we're going to see today, just looking what I can see in front of me, is going to be absolutely marvellous.
Well, you mentioned about the woodlands that you've got on your farms there that you're adapting and creating more of, and you're putting that to good use.
Oh yes, the woodland, planting a wood, that's not the end of it. You've got to look after it. From the first year of woodland, first 5 years of woodland, you're trying to make it grow, and after that, you're trying to make sure you get light into the bottom of the woodland, so that you get things growing in the bottom of the woodland for wildlife to live in. And we use the wood now. I planted woods 35 years ago when my daughter was born, and we're now using that wood to heat the house, cottage next door, and to dry the grain. So that is fully, this is the circle of life, you could say, and it's. And we use logs. Our logs are a metre long. We don't chip it. We don't bring it in. It's literally moving about half a mile from being cut down to being burnt.
Right. So the energy efficiency side of it is there too.
Yes. It's absolutely. It was the easiest decision I ever made, and that was to put in the wood burner. To be able to burn the log, and we were helped with that, and we had a grant to put the wood burner in because the cost of putting that sort of infrastructure in is quite massive. It's been a marvellous, and it keeps me fit as well because I'm handling metre-long pieces of wood. Absolutely
excellent.
Marvellous.
But I mean, you're in the Isle of Man here today. Obviously, you're in the Shropshire area. We've had Northumberland, and you've seen and heard about all the different farms that have been in the finals of the Silver Lapwing. And it's interesting for yourself to find out a little bit more of what they're doing.
It's just humbling to listen to what they are all doing, and the depth of knowledge within our industry, looking after nature. And I just hope that it sounds as if your minister, who spoke to us earlier today, was she was listening, and she spoke to us and saying how she wanted to make sure that the Isle of Man agriculture looked after the environment. And I'm sure if people look at what we've done, or what the finalists have done over the last many years, and because none of us have just got into this in the last year or two, we've been doing it for almost generations, and the countryside's in safe hands. But remember, we've got to make a living before we can make the environment better. So we've got to make sure that we use home-produced food if we can, but we have got to be sustainable.
Brilliant. Well, many congratulations as one of the finalists, and hope you enjoy the rest of your time here in the Isle of Man. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much, Simon. Thank you.
Well, Simon, congratulations, finalists here on the Isle of Man for the FWAG Silver Lapwing Award. Massive congratulations, but reading and hearing all about your farm, it's a huge enterprise, so to embrace all of the agri-environmental side of it as well, it's no mean feat.
No, I'm daft. There's a lot going on. I've got a very good wife who I come up with the mad ideas, put them on her office desk, and she delivers. She's the kind of the management and the paperwork and all the things that I've got a doctor's note that says I can't do. It's been 50 nature. It's been 50 years of endeavour. It's a massive. I couldn't do it without the team at home, my wife and family. But yeah, I'm quite humbled really and I'm loving the Isle of Man. We've been to see the Calf of Man. We're staying with the Andersons, and it's just amazing.
It really is. It's lovely, and it's a beautiful day, which does put it in, absolutely spectacular glory here up at Ballagawne today. But Simon, going back to your farm, 24,000 hens. That is huge. 1,000 ewes and 200 suckler cows. Now, you would never think that commercial farming on that scale, 1,600 acres and a Northumberland hill farm, uplands, could lend itself to the agri-environmental side of it.
I think we've embraced it for decades. We've just gone into a brand new scheme in January 24, which is a 5-year scheme. We're now a year in. Time flies. Previous to that, we'd been in schemes for probably 15, 20 years. It suits us. It suits the team. It suits the nature of the farm. It suits the type of livestock we have, and we work with nature. And I think when you try to work against it, it just doesn't work.
And you've adapted the farm quite significantly. Solar panels, the farm uses the energy from this. You've embraced a lot of diversification as well.
Yes, we just basically, I was told in New Zealand years ago in 2016 that, 2011, I can't remember the date anyway, I'm getting on in years, that once in a lifetime opportunities come up every 6 months. I truly believe that's the case. And we just, if an opportunity comes up, we grab it, we take a risk, we go to the bank. They don't believe what I'm going to do, but they trust me a little and they give me the money, and then I promise it'll all be fine. And then 2 days later, they come back and say, hey, Simon, yeah, no, or months later, they come back and say, yeah, no, Simon, well, you got this right.
Excellent. And it's that positive outlook as well. And education is one of the things that Chris mentioned in there earlier about your farm setup. You know, you're keen for that side of it too.
Yeah, right across. So going from the younger generation to the old. So we have groups of farmers around the farms. We're involved in the first Northumberland monitor farm, the first monitor farm in England, beef and lamb. We have groups of farmers around. During those events, we would have thousands of farmers on the farm, looking around the farm, pulling it to bits, digging holes, listening to me do what I said, and we had to deliver. So we basically made 10 years progress in 3 years. That was the kind of the plan, and that's what we did. We had 2 children in those 3 years. We got married. We did everything. And you look back and you think, hey, where did our energy come from? But yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, but there's a lot of love and passion to run the two side by side, hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think you've got to have that love and passion to get up every morning and put in the good day's graft from dawn till dusk, and to go again when it all goes wrong. So when you're maybe not feeling when you're feeling a bit under the weather, or you're a bit stressed, or you're the weather's gone wrong, or you have a dead sheep, or whatever it might be. It's to pick yourself up and go again. And it's maybe because ultimately I'm simple Simon, and I'm probably not very clever, but anyway, I'll let everybody else be engaged to that.
Don't be hard on yourself.
But I think I've got a very short memory, and that just gets you going again and again and again.
I think most farmers have, haven't they? They wouldn't do it day in, day
and
out.
Just quickly, I kind of lost my train of thought before, so we're going from the old generation to younger. So anyway, we have universities, Aberystwyth University come around the farm. We have younger generations who have local schools and everything. Admittedly, the local schools they find the most challenging because they've got these young farmers, sons and daughters, who provide the most challenging questions about how much money you're making and all those kind of things. So we're doing it across the board, and we just love it. My mum was a first school head teacher, so theoretically I've got it in my blood. But yeah, and it just, let's get that generation knowing more about rural life.
Without doubt.
And the ultimate thing is it's all about people. The whole thing, whether it's people in cities, people in urban areas, people on farms, it's all about people.
Yeah, it's that connection, and at the minute it seems to be a little bit of disconnect, but doing what you're doing is getting the people on the farms, understanding that they're our consumers.
And we've got a brand new meeting room going in this year. We're going to double the size of the meeting room. We've got all the education stuff around the outside. We've got a big monitor. Anybody can use facilities. Sadly, a lot of the schools, the big sticking points for the deprived schools in Newcastle, they can't afford the buses out. So the government has agreed to pay us £350 ish. We're going to give that to the school to pay for the bus to get them on farm.
Wow.
And we're going to do it for free.
That's fantastic.
What
an insight, my word. Well, congratulations to yourself, Simon and Claire, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Isle of Man.
Well, lovely to meet you. All the very best. Enjoy the sunshine.
Well, up and down the UK, we heard from the 4 finalists there who were on the island with their families, enjoying the beautiful weather and a trip round Ballagawne farm courtesy of the Cool Brothers. And we were talking there too.
We were indeed talking to Nicholas Watts, MBE, Rachel and Joe Haller, John Billington and Simon and Claire Brainbridge.
And Joe Haller, who we heard from in the programme there, from down in Mordrill's farm in Somerset. When Paul Fletcher was down there graduating into teaching, he taught Joe. How about that one, eh? You wouldn't believe it. And now he was back on the Isle of Man, and they're still here, some of the families, as we speak this week. So really enjoying the hospitality here on the Isle of Man. You're listening to our special look back at the Silver Lapwing Awards countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, the last 2 interviews came from the members of FWAG, and firstly we heard from the chair of the whole Farming and Wildlife Advisory Group Association in the UK, Chris Butler. Well, you're the overall chairman of FWAG in the United Kingdom. It's great to have you on the Isle of Man again, and the Cool Brothers have had a great welcome today, and what a variety of farms that we've had again in the finals of the Silver Lapwing, up from Northumberland down to Herefordshire and Shropshire.
Yeah, it's been, was a judge last year when we chose the farm here in the Isle of Man, And it's one of the fascinating things about being a judge. You go to so many different farms. It's also one of the most difficult things you have to deal with because you're talking about dairy farms, arable farms, and everything else in between. But it's lovely to come here again and see this beautiful part of the country.
Yeah, and it's brilliant talking to the finalists here today. And as you said, the difference in their farming, oilseed rape with John there, and lots of the beef farmers, but a lot of them are not just sticking to the one thing, as well as trying to do diversification into helping the environment as well.
Oh yeah, all of them trying to achieve sustainable farming and helping and improving and helping the environment at the same time. And that's really what the competition is about. It's got to be a sustainable farm. Then they've got to also look after all the fantastic things they've got on the farm, whether it be hedges, trees, wild bird cover, all that sort of thing.
And of course, Nicholas, with his changing, doing his bird surveys and then trying to encourage ones that there are very few sightings of, and trying to get them back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Putting in owl nesting boxes, and then unfortunately you couldn't see on the photographs, but he's put 70 other nesting boxes in as well on the farm. So he's really down to, and he knows all his birds, and he knows where they are virtually, and he's just trying to encourage any bird that he can get on the place. And it's an area which wouldn't really have had a lot of birds because it's right in the centre of the fenland, up near the Wash.
Yeah, but it's brilliant with them all sitting together, talking about what they've done and learning from each other, which the knowledge they're going to pass on.
I think that's one of the really nice things about FWAG, Farming and Wildlife Advisory Group. We get together and we talk about it, and we try to pass on knowledge to the other farmers.
Brilliant. Well, great to have you back on the Isle of Man again, Chris.
Thank you.
Go and enjoy your trip.
Thank you for inviting me. Really good.
Paul Fletcher, Chairman of the Isle of Man branch of FWAG. What a marvellous few days you, the Isle of Man team of FWAG, and the visitors have had to the Isle of Man for the award ceremony for the Silver Lapwing.
Well, we had a word with the team down at the Met Office last December when we were busy starting planning for hosting this event, and they said they'd do what they could. They did us proud. They sorted the weather out, and everything else flowed from there, Simon.
Wonderful. And how did the people I've spoken to really enjoyed their trip around the Isle of Man to have a look of how things work over here, and I suppose agree with some of the challenges we face with not getting the availability of things that we need.
Yeah, I mean, the visitors are absolutely full of compliments. We had the minister, Claire Barber, met them at Tynwald. They had a roving commentator, namely Paul Costain, on the coach going up and down. So he shepherded them along with other members of the FWAG committee. And they popped into the Manx Language School at St John's there. Were welcomed there by staff and pupils alike. They popped into Culture Vanning. And then they got down to the real bones of the day, the open day down at Ballagawne Farm, because it's a bit like the Eurovision. David and Rob won this Silver Lapwing Award, top award for farm management conservation in the UK. They won it last year, so it's like Eurovision. So as a result, they had to host it this year.
Yeah, and the thing is, yourselves on the Isle of Man, we have the Bronze Chuff Award, which is the sort of Isle of Man part of it. But you can be entered into the UK one. And just reflecting back to last year when Rob and David Cool won it, a marvellous achievement.
Yeah, because we were fortunate to put them forward. It's taken a lot of years of negotiation, but because the Isle of Man's a small farming area, to us it's the whole island. But they were up against regional finalists that were representing 5, 6, 7 counties in England, one person. So when they were allowed to go forward as one representative from the Isle of Man, they were up against massive representation. So for them to scoop the award was one on its own. But as a result, we had these visitors over, a couple of dozen over from across, and as you saw at the event, there's best part of 100 people there locally, from all different walks of life, all different elements of the farming community, and organisations represented, and it was just one wonderful day.
Yeah, and when they showed the map of the 5 finalists where they are, the one was up in Northumberland, one out in Hereford, Hertfordshire, Shropshire, There was a great spread across the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I think the judging tour this year, in spring this year, for Chris and the judging team was something like over 300 miles in 2 days, and to stop in at 5 different farms and spend 2 or 3 hours at each farm. How they did it, Lord only knows.
But Andrew Bott, of course, took the prize, the Silver Lapwing Award this year. He's farms in Hertfordshire. Unfortunately, couldn't be here due to a prior engagement, which was a little bit unfortunate.
It was, but he was well represented by his area FWAG officer, Sean Doman, and Sean took the prestigious lapwing and case away with him together with his certificate. It was suggested to me by one of the members of the local FWAG committee that a couple of them popped down to Andrews in a week or two once his affairs are dealt with, and actually take some photos and see him with the lapwing in his hand.
Yeah, and of course Andrew, he's got 890-acre farm he's got, but it was great to hear all the stories and see the slides about what they've been doing on their farm to manage a proper working commercial farm with changes that are helping the environment. And when you look at, he's producing woods and growing little copses and things and making his own biofuels.
Yes, he's doing his biofuels. Yeah. He's mixed cropping. He's growing pulses, same as we do on the island, beans and so on for feeding. I noticed from some of the notes and talking to Chris that he's even growing willow for cricket bats. He's got a cider orchard, and even diversified into grapevines this spring. So it sounds like a good place to visit, Simon, shortly.
Yes, he'll have the grass cutting a cricket wicket on it the next time we go there.
That and the cider.
But the setup even at Ballagawne, I mean, you mentioned the weather. It was the perfect day, and you can't get much of a better view than Ballagawne Farm across the south of the Isle of Man on any farm on the island, really.
No, it's a lovely sweeping view, and all the visitors and the Manx folk alike were so complimentary, and there was so much pulling together on the day, Simon, from all the different elements of the farming community. I mean, people were, the creamery, obviously Dave and Rob are strong dairy farmers. And
we heard from June Hargreaves about every old milk bottle on the Isle of Man in the history of the Isle of Man, I think.
Yes, I mean June was marvellous, and he's got his. There's no two Junes in this world, but he was marvellous in his commentary all about the milk bottles and so on. So much so that he was there to fill time a little whilst the official photographs were being taken. But he was so inspiring that the winners of the awards, all the finalists that were supposed to be outside having the photos taken, just sat there and listened to him.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But all in all, a wonderful day. Ian Davison was there with his ice cream, and Claire and Anne were there producing the wonderful Manx food.
They did us proud. I mean, we must pay tribute to all the different organisations, and they know who they are that supported us. I'd hate to list them all and miss one out, but we want to thank them all. And the milkshake machine from the creamery, and that was on tap. There's so many different people had gifted and supported in different ways, and Anne and Claire and their team did a marvellous job just drawing it all together. From the soup and followed by the bonnog at lunchtime, a cup of tea and some cake, and then the cold meat platter and salad and then new potatoes from a local farm.
Bit of dancing.
And then the Kirree, and then the Kirree to wrap it all up at the end of the day. So it was a massive celebration.
Well, I think the Isle of Man branch of FWAG, yourself and all the team involved in here, I think you've really, by the comments I heard from the visitors, a lot of them here for the first time, I think you've all done the Isle of Man proud.
Yes, and what was wonderful, thank you, Simon. What was also wonderful is, we then rolled out into day 2, which was, His Excellency Sir John and Lady Lorimer joined us along with Danny Kirree in up above Benny Pot there on the second day, on the Thursday, and Danny filled in and gave some really good detail and understanding about the challenges of upland sheep farming on the island, and then that was followed by Sean Gelling and Sarah Hickey and Anna, all talking about the upland peatland restoration work that's going on in conjunction and alongside Danny farming that area, and the importance of some what they're doing up there. We had a trip down into Ramsey, and then the visitors, if they hadn't expressed and experienced enough of the island, they jumped on an electric tram down to Anna's at Balafale, to Anna Crucia's, and she gave them a marvellous second farm tour around Balafale. We went up to see Charlie's, in memory of her grandfather, Sir Charles, our first Manx president, Charlie's viewpoint, looking out and round the farm, and then the orchid meadows. And again, the guests were so inspired by just sheer abundance of orchids and stuff, all in flower. Perfect time of the year to see the farm, and then down to the bottom. And I believe that between Anna and Rachel, that works with her, that they actually had the seals there on show, because they were whistling to them, and these seals were bobbing in the water just below the rocks. You know, and then they back up to the house after we'd seen the pigs and the donkey foal, and they gave them a proper Manx tea. A super day.
All in all, a very unique event, I'd probably say, here on the Isle of Man. And let's hope that with what's happened, we can get another winner of this award and maybe have them all back on the island.
Why not? But what is great is that from this event, Simon, we've established so many really strong contacts, opportunities through the FWAG network across England and Wales to draw on their expertise, their support, advisory support and so on, and to be able to bring some of that home to help the local industry.
Paul Fletcher, chairman of the Isle of Man branch of FWAG, and before that the chairman of the FWAG Association in the UK, Chris Butler. Really enthusiastic as always, and it was just absolutely wonderful to have such a prestigious event on the Isle of Man, which we were so lucky.
We're very proud to host it as well, and clearly a lot of work has gone on to get that event organised, and to the Cool Brothers there, Ballagawne, to get them organised to take their day out of farming. But it's great to see everybody embracing the agri-environmental schemes that are coming into play alongside commercial farming, and that is the real point of it. You know, we're trying to get a balance between nature and farming and food production, and well done to everybody there involved.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to the various things that these farms have done over many years, doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that over time, and being rewarded by getting in the final of that Silver Lapwing Awards. Obviously, we had to chop down a little bit of the interviews, but if you go to manxradio.com, you can download the podcast. It costs you nothing, and you can listen to the episodes of Countryside in their full glory. We're back next Tuesday here on Manx Radio with more from the Countryside. So until then, from me, Simon Clark,
and me, Kirree Kermode,
we'll see you then. Ta-da!
Bye-bye.